Next time you're worried about being a gold player, remember back in 2018, you probably would have been a pro player. Let's look at the Spring Championship of 2018. We have two players here, NoEL and Wilson. These players are both watching, are really good at guitars, and guitars is pretty much the peak of the meta, and they were only LAN players, so that's probably why you haven't heard of them. If I was at these tournaments, I would have been making so much free money. If you watch the gameplay, it speaks for itself. They both suck. Like, neither one of them is too much better than the other one, other than NoEL getting a few sword conversions. Now let's go look at this year's grand finals of the Spring Championship. This is Luna versus Jetbean, and Jetbean is PR 27 before this tournament, and don't think Jiro's actually that good. It's just Luna. Luna's going Jiro to play in a grand finals simply disrespect Jetbean, and the only real obvious difference between modern pros versus the last clip is just how much they use dodging and dashing, and then Scythe is also in the game. It wasn't entirely free money because you had to sign up for these tournaments way ahead of time and know that you could show up for the lands, and you had to sign up for these tournaments using Smash GG, which was kind of archaic before a few years ago, and it was actually a skill as a pro player to be able to create an account and sign up for lands in time. And on top of showing up to the tournament, Brawlhalla is a fighting game, and fighting games usually play right next to the other player. So not only did you have to show up to these tournaments, but you sat across from your opponent and then had to play your absolute best. And before you sat across from your opponent, you'd sit in the crowd with everyone else that registered for the LAN. There wasn't a lot of players in the beginning, so everyone in the crowd was also competing. Being a pro and showing up to LANs was a lot harder in the beginning, but the competition was super weak. There are a few standouts, but no one could prepare for when Sandstorm showed up. The dude was literally the Michael Jordan of Brawlhalla. On 3 hours of sleep, showing up to his first Brawlhalla LAN, and his only previous gaming experience being Geometry Dash, Sandstorm dominated every single LAN he went to. He was undisputably the ranked 1 player for the longest time, and this is like my peak enjoyment of Brawlhalla was definitely watching Sandstorm. Sandstorm was so much ahead of the competition, he'd enter Smash tournaments at the same time while playing Brawlhalla.
Got plenty of stuff. Yeah! See you later, CD! Well, you're gonna be like that.
The only other players that could keep up were Wrenched or Boomy, and LANs were completely focused on these three. The peak of this era was definitely low tier city. Boomy and Sandstorm were on a completely other level from everyone else. They also decided, because they are the rank PR number 1 player and the rank PR number 2 player, to team up to become the best 2v2 team that has ever been created. Now if we were to check back in, this is the point where you would not be a top pro.
It's nobody can touch him, and it's so wild that literally nobody can touch him.
These guys were much above everyone else, and the rest of the competition was also super good. But what really pushed this game to the next level was online tournaments. When everyone could attend from anywhere around the world, the game took off. Sadly, with online tournaments, we didn't get LAN moments like these.
Like every set, I thought my opponent would beat me. I wouldn't go in saying I'm gonna win or let's do this. I did the same for twos. And I tried to get Boomy to do the same mentality, and it showed.
Okay, I mean, I guess if you're already playing under pressure from the start, it never changes. Once you're ahead in the set, you're just good to go. Man, okay, so what's next for you?
Just continue playing Brawl, solidify myself further as the best. I think not LDZ, not Wrench, not Boomy. There is no one better at Brawl than me in all time. All time.
Kind of crazy to think that the best player in the world went into the mindset with, we're gonna lose every single match, and then convinced his teammate to also think that they were gonna lose before every match, to only win the world championship in singles and in doubles. Another nice thing about LANs was seeing the player interactions, and we got a few controversial ones caught on camera.
There it is! Cody Travis takes it 3-0 against Ethan! Cody Travis! Is he denying it? Cut throat! Says, get out of here. This is my house. Is he denying? I think he did. Ethan takes that as a denial of the handshake.
Apparently Ethan didn't get along with a few of the other pro players, but he's a very nice guy. Unfortunately, Cody Travis's next match was going to be a lot harder. Not only did he feel bad about this and apologize on the stage, but if you remember NoEL from the first clip, he's actually pretty good friends with Ethan and had more motivation to win this next match. Unfortunately for us, this is the last time we'd ever see NoEL compete in a tournament because LANs were over after this one. Everything I've covered up into this point has only been LAN Brawlhalla. With viewership rewards, there's up to 20,000 people watching every single tournament. So if you ever actually wanted to try and make money off this game, you could enter from the comfort of your home. This meant no more LANs, no more venues, or trying to figure out how to get to your hotel. Even with everything going online, 2020 ended as normal. LAN and old pros were winning everything, and Cody Travis would eventually come back to BCX to win the grand finals. However, since you no longer had to be in person for LANs, we started seeing random talent pop up everywhere. This is when the gap between the old Brawlhalla pros and the new pros widened. You could practice and compete from your bedroom without having to stand around all day at a venue before getting knocked out in the first round of pools. This was is where most of the new talent spawned in, and players finally understood that movement was everything. This made the meta shift like crazy. Axe was already super strong in the meta, but with the added time put into movement, top pro players like Luna could pick up Terrace and make him seem like he had max dex and max speed. With there being no more lands, people got creative online and started hosting money matches to further prove they were the best.
You know, I mean, it is what it is, bro. It is what it is. Wait, so you'll do 100 for real with Luna for real?
What, is that not what I just said?
Would you do 200?
No.
Pussy, bro.
This also just shows how much money's in Brawlhalla now when they're betting hundreds of dollars. So now anyone can join tournaments and anyone can compete, and eventually Brawlhalla is going to go back to LANs. We still see pro players like Boomy placing very well in the online tournaments, but for the old crew of LAN players, we don't see them as much. It's pretty much all new online players. MSI is the next tournament coming up, and it's going to be an in-person LAN tournament. So we finally get to answer the question if LAN players are better than the online players, and we get to see if the online players can still perform at their best while in front of other people in the crowd. I'm very excited to see how this turns out. And not only that, Sandstorm will be showing up to MSI, so we can finally see what's going to happen at the first LAN back. I don't think Brawlhalla will ever be the same as it was. Tournaments only had a few hundred viewers unless Sandstorm or Boomy was playing. The meta shifted whenever a top pro would pick a new character, and the community as a whole was very small. This isn't a bad thing though. We get to see online players compete in tournaments and see genuine reactions of people winning matches. I'm personally looking forward to player interactions and LAN turnouts. I also want to see how EU compares to NA now that they can play together. Thank you for watching all the way through, and please subscribe to me for more Brawlhalla esports content and various stories. I've been watching Brawlhalla all the way from the beginning and have so many random stories and events to cover.